Morning Scrum with Govind Davis.
Yeah, the whole intro, I mean, honestly, like, maybe there's this point where I'm like, I think what I have to do is just like learn how to use OBS. Like, I can see now how, like, just having those kind of like desktop, like more advanced tools may just be like, like the actual like engineering of the production on this matters. That being said, the video of me and the video of the show, like, I don't know how significant that is. My hair got all frizzed up from the little hair that I have, got frizzed up from wearing my hat. It's cold. I had to put on like, some, some warm clothes, like more, I don't like thermal leggings. I'm like, it's freezing out pretty much. I mean, right off at freezing, and I'm in the garage here. It's cold. So I got the heater like blowing on my legs, and the thermals on, and like my boots on, and hopefully I'll be good. So today I'm launching my signal funnel. It is nowhere near perfect. I mean, it's crusty and clunky in certain ways, but it's enough. It's that MVF. Like, what's the minimum viable funnel? And like, what's the lowest bar for me that kind of showcases who I am, my creativity, and gets to the point across. It does the job, but there's just so much more to do. And so anyway, but what I'm going to show today is some of the pieces of how I got there. And then I'm also going to play around with the AI a little bit and see if I can create some interesting like social posts for one of the pages and like share those out. And maybe like I'll run a campaign or something. I probably won't do that all down on the show, but I'm going to do some of it. And it was a profoundly frustrating experience to say like, okay, I went off on the, in the down the rabbit hole. I'm like, I'm going to try to use AI to build these really cool pages. And and then trying to put that into WordPress. I mean, it was such a frustrating experience. I nearly gave up so many times, came out with something that kind of works, tempted so many times to just be like, oh, I need to get some kind of better way of doing something. There's just so many tools and ways. God, somebody saved me trying to format web pages and just running into weird issues. And my learning curve is going up with WordPress. But there's just so many weird formatting things, and that's still always a problem. So anyway, I'm gonna showcase this today, and it's an example of why I'm actually glad I do this show, because it abstracts. You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna use AI to create a web page or all these things, or somebody's gonna build a tool to make AI that let AI build web pages. And you're like, it kind of works. And then you get into these things where you're like, I need to buy in my shopping cart, and I need to do this, or I need to quickly change the content or try different variations of the page. You're like, okay, now you're off, right? So yeah, before we jump in, just shout out to Warm Up IP. My first sponsor. My goal now is to go get some more of these sponsorship packages. I've already upped the price. It was $2,000 and now it's $3,000. So you buy now, people. Anyway, you want to, if you're going to send email, you want to warm up your mailbox. These guys are awesome, and we'll help in so many different ways. So, especially business email. Even if you're doing any kind of business sales email, you need to do this. And I am going to share my screen. let's see, screen share. Here we go. I'm gonna go with labs. That's it. Okay. And that is just not the layout I wanted. This is the layout I wanted. Yeah. That's what I'm feeling here. This might be the place too to set up my name. Oh yeah, there we go. That did not work at all. Let's try that. Wow, no. Wait, hold on. Let's give it a little bigger size. Okay. Yeah, let's just skip the names. There we go. All right. So I'm going to start with a pivot that I made on the agent. Right. And I don't know why I went with 11 labs, Vappy probably does this too. I'm going to have to check more of these out. But I realized I'm like, having people call into the agent's cool. But I really kind of want to like have a web experience. And so I created the Signal agent here. And it is pretty much like the other ones, like simple. I like it's like I like the 11 labs because it was simple and easy. So I was like, that's cool. And there's some complicated. There's a couple things that's raised. Like first of all, you're like, hey, one agent may or may not be that. It's really interesting because I don't know. Maybe there's a way for like the agent to like. I have to think about this. I started getting down this rabbit hole and then I gave up. I was like, I'm not going to do this right now. But you're like, is an agent, this voice agent, is it like the one? Because what happens if you have like different entry points in different situations, and it kind of gets into probably the workflow and all this other stuff. And I need to like really up my game to get into this part. But right now I'm like, hey, I just got the one, kind of like content driven, like you could call it like the scripted agent, and it's right here. I think I ended up in the end using Claude, which was actually frustrating to do this. It was like way easier in Gemini, but I was in Claude because I was I just like constantly, like, oh man, I'm hitting this wall with Gemini and Doc. Like, where do you create? Like, what I like about Claude is you have the projects, but even still, the projects in Claude, it's like, where do you get all your stuff together? Like, where's your workspace? And I haven't really found that yet in AI. So I think, is Google going to solve it? Like Notebook LM. Actually, I started with Notebook LM. So I will go through this journey a little bit more here before I get it. So I like loaded up all the stuff in here, and I started, and I created some documentation. And I do think this is probably the best tool for like everything up into a certain point, and then you get into this next layer of like, okay, because this would have probably been good for the spec. And then I thought, well, okay, I need to create a landing page. So like, what are my options? And oh yeah, and then before I go back, I'm going to show you the widget. So you can create the widget with 11 labs, and there's a bunch of stuff, and you just embed code. And this actually worked really. It was like super easy to like just throw this into a page. So this part was like, oh wow, okay, really super easy, and you can pop up like Signal. I got a little like a headshot or whatever from the picture, and you can talk to her, right? And I loaded up information, like a PDF of the information about how it all works. And it's going to get messy because you have this other situation too, where you have like the PDF content, you have page content, trying to keep everything together is going to get dicey. But I'm glad I'm like exploring this. And it's like one of those things where if you think AI and the implementation is gonna blow, it's gonna be mind blowing. But is it like, oh yeah, like it's just everything's easy now? Yeah, no, I don't think so. You're still running into all these technical hurdles just to do more cool stuff, right? So yeah, Notebook LM, loaded up 2 different conversations that I recorded about this, uh, the page I had, all the different materials I had. And this is great. I did create some really cool, different materials. And then I thought, all right, I'm going to try. But I was like, okay, what's my next step? Like, okay, so I'm going to load all this same stuff up into Claude. And I was like, okay, I'm going to create a landing page. And I'm like, wow, this is like, I can create a page like this. I mean, this is like mind blowing. And so it took me, I had to figure out, what do I do with this? So I actually figured out how to just take the HTML, and I have to fix, I think, one thing in here, but I just took the HTML and put it into essentially like a blank template in my website. But you get into all this stuff, you're like, okay, this is not clickable. Like, what is this? Why do I even have this like cursor on here now? It's like so strange what's going on with this page. But the button here works. I had to go in and directly, I think I had it change it, and this one goes to my LinkedIn now. So I need to fix that button manually. I'm like, oh, what a pain. I'm going to have to go. That's not that hard though. But you start saying, okay, this one goes to where I want it to go. It goes to this page. Let's see if it actually, it goes down here. It goes to the offer. And this goes to my LinkedIn. So yeah, I'm gonna have to fix this. Regular price $7.50. That's funny. Okay, it's $8.75. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just, this raises these questions. You're like, wow, what an amazing output from just loading some stuff up, but how painful would it be for me to actually work with this? If you're at and I'm sort of contemplating, do I want to do that? Because you get into these questions of okay, but I do think I could just go find a local HTML editor to go and say okay, WordPress becomes a shell, and then landing pages, you generate them in Claude or whatever. Because I will say if you look at this is insane output. It didn't get this head very good. I kept messing around trying to get it. And originally it had an image. So anyway, that was an icon. So this is cool, and I'm going to promote this page just because I'm yeah, this is really cool. And so that was Claude. And then I got stuck on a bunch of other stuff because I was like, this is impossible for me. And it doesn't look like my website at all. I'm like, where do I even go with this? So then I went into Google Gemini. This is where I was trying to, okay. And I mean, you do get a sense of a project a little bit in Gemini because you have a chat. And so I started, and it was okay, created a landing page. And it got a lot closer. It was okay, in a sense that it was okay, this is actually kind of a decent, almost product, offer page. And, but it has this really cool styling and some other stuff here, some things that I'm just I don't really know, if that's a good, this isn't necessarily a good thing. And the content's not, I'm gonna have to modify this content. And there's a lot here that I want to change. This is great, but then how do I make these add to cart symbols? I mean, I can figure this out, probably WordPress short codes and all this stuff, but you're okay, now I'm down the rabbit hole. I'm what am I gonna do, right? And so I tried different things and ended up with snippets of this. I eventually figured out how to get encapsulated HTML. And then just dropped in the HTML, and you get into WordPress, and it's just one of those things. And that's where I'm maybe I need an element or whatever. WordPress is such a strange, bulky thing, and maybe it's just the best approach, right? Where so many people use it, but you get into these wrappers around your content, and what you see isn't what you get, right? So you've got even the title isn't going to be there, and and this page kind of looks a certain way, And then when I get out here, I mean, it looks pretty good. And I actually want to reload because I think I set it up so that signal's not, yeah. So she just pops in the bottom. And, I'm like pretty happy with this after a lot of work. I mean, this is another like HTML like section drop in. And you can see like the fonts aren't really matching. And, I couldn't get I had the SVG icons. Like I was like, how do I even get those as images? So I had to go find like a SVG like little plugin, and so I ended up sort of just building this page in the end. And I think that's the right choice, honestly, for like a product type page like this, because you've got to have the cart and like, I mean, look, I'm just not advanced enough to do these things myself like quickly. Like even a layout like this, you're like, okay, this is this is using React and stuff that I'm just like, I'm not gonna get there. I'm sorry. I'm like, I mean, I could figure it out eventually, but the learning curve on this. But I feel pretty proud of this page, and this sort of combined approach. And I look, I think for future landing pages and fun ideas, I definitely think that like, generating like an entire HTML page and just dropping it in like a static page is kind of is a great way to go if I can figure out a way to edit, the content in the HTML directly. And it's just going to turn into this complex, you just all these trade-offs. You're like, oh, I use AI, it's HTML, but now how do I just want to edit this text? Oh, well, it's not that easy because you have to go in here, right? Say, okay, now I've got like this a code block that I need to go work with, and it doesn't have a good editor around it, and so anyway, that was my like crazy output thing for today. And now I want to look at like, okay, thinking about like, okay, let's go back here, like actually, I might not. I'm probably, I might go to Magic Post. That's what I've been using for posting. Hmm. No, I'm just going to go right into LinkedIn because I can't see what. I always go to the sketch profile because that's what's stuck in my. Hmm. This is crazy. I forgot this. Okay, hold on. Let's go. Hmm. Well, that's just probably. Yeah, I didn't pop that in, but it will. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I ran into this issue. With Claude, I probably have to pay. Whatever. I'm just gonna close it. Yeah, I gotta start it. You can see this is like the facepalm AI. You're like, can I get what I want? Here we go. This is just there. Hold on. I was wondering if Gemini will actually read the page, but it doesn't look like it. Oh, this page has like no content on it. It is. It's like all like an image, but it's not. It's like it literally won't print. So that's why I can't get any content from it. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up the Scrum because I want to create. I need to get. I might actually. I'll stop. I'm gonna stay home for a minute and figure out. Okay, how do I get here? Let's see. Actually, let's try notebook out loud. Pretty sure I downloaded. This is just exactly like a Signal landing page. It's right there. Nothing, huh? I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get the text from that. That is just a strange. Anyway, I don't think I'm gonna be. I mean, it's like interesting because you're like, wow, Claude built this amazing thing, but it's like super unusable in like these other ways, like beautiful, but like it's almost just like an artifact. Anyway, I'm gonna figure out how to promote this page and probably focus, even though it's like beautiful and amazing and like interactive, like it's like almost unusable, So it's like a picture. Anyway, thanks so much. Oh wait, hold on, I have to go and do something. Let's see what's next. I need to show thank my sponsors. And yeah, if you want. I know I need to update my show. If you want to buy my influencer packages, go to my DM me. But I'm going to start putting my own stuff on here. You can find me on LinkedIn though. But no, exactly. This is definitely it's time to like pivot, put all in on selling my influencer packages here. So, but anyway, sponsors right now: Warm Up IP and Sorrent, and excited. So we've got a cool event. I'm going to be talking about AI coming up with Sorrent, and thanks everybody for checking this out.